Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. Becky, you tried it. Now listen, I don't really know what your name is because I don't think it was ever released, but for the sake of this video, your name will be Becky. And as a matter of fact, it might change to Allison at some point in the video just because I feel like doing it. But anyway, let me get to my point. Now, we need to travel to Oakland. As you know, this story came out a few days ago. I'm just now getting onto it because I wasn't in a capacity to make a video at the time. Had to get some dental work done and it affected how I was able to talk. So anyway, there's a nice family barbecuing, black family, getting their family time in. You know, it's the weekend. People stressed out from the 9 to 5s all week. That Saturday, that Sunday, that's that time you get in with your family, get your barbecue, turn on the Maze and Frankie Beverly, enjoy yourself, have a good time. And so the family was enjoying themselves, having a good time, you know, just trying to get in their family time before they got to go back to the BS at work on Monday. And Becky decided that, you know, she saw something that just wasn't quite right. She noticed that they weren't using the proper grill in the specific location that they were in. I guess there was a designated location for the kind of grill that they needed to use. And so I'm guessing she confronted them. They probably told her to mind her business and get the hell on. And so she decided that she needed to call the police. Now, let me also break down Becky for you guys. Now, Becky, she comes from a place called Don't Know How to Mind Your Businessville, okay? Big town. Lots of people in this country live there. You know, don't know how to mind your businessville, okay? Also suffers from don't know how to stay in your own lane syndrome. She didn't take her medicine that day. Okay, so, you know, so from coming from, you know, don't know how to mind your businessville and suffering from, you know, not knowing how to stay in your lane syndrome, Becky just had a lot going on. So Becky decided she was going to call the police. And so, you know, usually the police are called for important things like, I don't know, a car accident, or maybe somebody's breaking into somebody's house, or maybe somebody thinks they're about to get cut into pieces because somebody is trying to kill them. Things like that. So she felt that she needed to waste taxpayer dollars to call the police on some people who were using a grill in a location that I guess wasn't designated because it was just such a big ordeal. You know, great use of the resources, great use of the resources. You know, everybody else with common sense at that time, because it's a nice day, the sun's out, you know, they just walked on past and, you know, toodles, hello, and kept going. Not Becky. Becky said, oh no. So she calls the authorities. They take 2 hours to come. Why? Because, like I said, they're dealing with more important things. So this wasn't really anything urgent. What happens is, because she decides that not only was she going to just call the police and mind her business, she said she was going to call the police and wait. Sometimes when people call the police, they call the police and they go about their business. It's kind of like I just want to let you know this is what's going on. You might want to check it out. She said, no, I'm going to stay here and wait until I see everything, until I see you guys come here and handle things. Because really what it is, I'm sure that family told her where she could go, and now her feelings were hurt, but she had so much ego and pride that she needed to prove a point. And so people are starting to confront her about what's going on. And I mean, if you look at the video, she's cocky. So let's go back to when she first calls. Look at this clip. Look, pause for 1 second. Watch.
Properly disposed of.
So are you saying that they're going to hurt children out here? Or, I mean, like, what is with this?
There's laws about this park, and
I know the laws about this park.
And charcoal grills are not allowed here.
Okay, let's have a charcoal debate because these guys are sitting out here peacefully having a barbecue.
You guys have a problem with us having a barbecue?
Oh, here's the thing about that too.
Does
anybody have a problem with them having a barbecue? Like, is there a reason why we're calling the police? If you called the police for 2 hours and you're sitting here, the police aren't coming for you, my dear.
Okay, so you see she's like cocky. She's, yeah, no, you're not doing this. And she got the shades on. She's walking, wind blowing, moving that little piece of hair that she got in the back. Like she got this. She's going to show them. She is going to show them who runs it up in here. Just like Chris Brown. She's going to show them who runs it. And so all that happens. Now the tides change because people are now confronting her about the fact that you're harassing this family. It's really not that serious. Like, can you go away? And so then let's take a look at what happens.
I'm being harassed.
Okay. Can you back
I
off?
would like her to give me the card that she stole from me.
Can you back off?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm at the quick stop. Ma'am, can you just back off just a tad so I can talk to her? Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
About over 2 hours ago, someone illegally grilling in the park with a charcoal grill where they're not supposed to.
You see what I'm talking about? this is the stuff that I'm talking about. You saw how quick the tides turned and how she decided to go from the aggressor to becoming a victim because she couldn't mind her own business. So she went from talking all this trash about how they were wrong and how this, that, and the third to I'm being attacked, I'm being followed. And then let's go back to the part with the cop. Look at her with the cop. I'm gonna put it on the side while I'm talking. Look at her with this cop. Look, you see how she's struggling to breathe. Just so much racism. It's just so heavy. It's pulling down on the lungs. She can't even breathe good. And the funniest thing is nobody's done anything to her. They literally just told her, mind your business, it's not that serious. She somehow turned that into, I'm being attacked, I don't feel safe. And mind you, she's bigger than the cop. So I'm like, what's he supposed to do? You doing all this crying, you the bigger one in the picture. Go ahead and handle things since you got her like that. Want to sit here and cry. And see, that's what a lot of people do all the time, especially a lot of white women. They are quick to go and turn themselves into a victim after they shook the table, okay? You can't shake the table and then get mad when everything falls in your lap. Had you minded your business and kept going, you wouldn't be out there crying, looking stupid in front of the cop. And really, if you want to know why she's crying, she's really crying because at this point, she recognizes that there's not going to be anybody getting their face slammed on a police car today. She recognizes that she's already lost this fight. She looks stupid. Everybody's against her. And now she feels all the pressure and the animosity. And she doesn't know how to process it. So she wants to start crying. That's what happens all the time. True story. You guys know I run a community center. I work with the kids. I'm trying to make the kids be great, amount to something great in society because society don't want to let them be nothing. And so, you know, there was a time period where we used to work with a certain food bank, and the food bank would provide my center with snacks, and you know, and do it free of charge because it was through the USDA. Great, awesome, great partnership for like a good 2 years. It was smooth sailing. You know, my kids get their little juice and crackers and maybe an apple, and you know, boom, I fill out the little paperwork, do my little report at the end of the week, and boom, here's the food. All is well. Then there came a new person named Amy. Amy was like 22, 23, fresh out of college, real excited about the job. Amy was the new person that I had to work with this food bank. And Amy was just straight from hell. All right, Amy was the worst person in the world to work with because she took this job so seriously. And she pretty much made everything so punitive when it didn't need to be. And so you know that within the center that I'm working in, these are kids who do not come from the best of socioeconomic statuses, if I can say it like that. And so pretty much, she makes all these new rules. Like, she pretty much triples the amount of paperwork we got to do. So now it's taking 3 and 4 hours a week to get stuff done. She comes up with this 3 strike system where, you know, if you get 3 strikes, you know, your program or your community center will be suspended from the program for a month, and then you'd have to go to an 8-hour training, and then you'd have to sit with her to do an improvement plan. Now, the thing with that contract was I was already in a certain contract, and I wasn't eligible to even be in a little 3-strike system for like another 6 or 7 months because I was still grandfathered in with the old contract. Long story short, Amy starts feeling herself a little too much. She keeps giving my center strikes for petty things. Like one time we got a strike because she didn't like that we used X's on the little checkoff sheet instead of check marks. And so that was a strike because she said that wasn't to the standard that she asked for things to be written in. And I'm... okay. All right. So then the final nail, and mind you, again, we weren't under the strike system. So I'm looking at her like, how are you giving me a strike when I'm under a contract that doesn't have anything to do with strikes? I haven't signed a contract with the strikes yet because it hasn't been 6 or 7 months. What are you talking about? The final nail in the coffin was my father at this time was also really, really sick. I had to go home for a family emergency. Amy decides to go and do a site visit after she already knew I wasn't going to be there. Does a site visit, unexpected. She writes all the stuff that my staff did wrong because I had to abruptly leave because they told me, okay, your dad has 2 weeks to live. I'm like, oh, shoot. So, you know, I had to get home. And so I kind of had to leave abruptly. My staff wasn't 100% prepared for when she came. She gives all these strikes and everything. Me and Amy get into some big disagreement in the emails. I'm telling her, like, listen, you're doing a lot. Spirit of too much. And so, you know, I'm finally back in DC. Me and her are having this little email conversation. She said something in email like, well, maybe we need to talk on the phone because clearly you're not understanding exactly what I'm saying. And then she put an exclamation point at the end. And it was an exclamation point that sent me. I was good. I was going to let her slide. But that exclamation point let me know that, okay, she thinks she's yelling now. Oh, okay, yeah, we can definitely talk on the phone. Boom, here's the number. Amy calls. When I tell you I lit into Amy and let her have it, I'm like, listen, you know, I say my 2 cents about everything. Tell her, you know, this, that, and the third. And I guess it got to the point where she was so just caught off guard with how I talked to her that she ended up crying. Amy starts crying. I'm like, hello? What? Just hold. Just hold. What am I holding for? Like, all I told you was, one, I don't need you using exclamation points in the email unless you got good news to tell me. I don't need you to write anything in red. I don't need you to put anything in bold. And I don't need anything to be larger than a 12 font. Otherwise, I'm taking it the wrong way because you wouldn't talk to me like that in person, so don't do it in the email. Next thing you know, guess who's on the phone? Her boss, because she doesn't feel safe talking to me. She needs a third party to be on the phone for our conversation because I'm too aggressive. I'm like, you the one who said you wanted to talk. Well, now we talking. Let's talk. And so Amy does all this crying. The boss comes on the phone. Now he's talking about how we need to set up a mediation. I'm like, there's no mediation to be had. All I ask is that she does this, that, and the third, and she can get rid of that strike system that we're not under. Because pretty much with that strike system, that means my kids don't get snacked. And so, long story short, I wasn't about to sit here and cave and jump super high for these folks. So I was like, F y'all, take y'all little raggedy whatever. Because mind you, she had these stupid rules too. Like, one of the rules was you had to take the temperature of the apple before you served it. I was like, apples already hang naturally from a tree. They're not in a refrigerator in Mother Nature, so why would the apples need to be a certain temperature? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So anyway, we cut ties with them. I would have handled just wrote some grants and got enough money to pay for the kids to have a snack. But no, Amy tried it. She talked all that trash, came in there walking around her little clipboard, little glasses all day, thinking swore she was hot stuff. Mind you, she was nothing of the sort. Listen, I've been watching Celebrity Big Brother, so I've been quoting New York all week. She was nothing of the sort. And the snacks weren't even that good, okay? The snacks were old maiden snacks. And so I'm just looking at Amy like, calm down. So Amy had to go. But back to my point, like, that's what happens. They will sit there, talk all that trash, shake the table, try to shake things up. Then when you give it to them, they want to be victims. That happens in my comment section too. I will always remember. I don't know what video it was, but you know, sometimes I wear different hats. Some lady was like, why do you wear that hat? What do you think it makes you look smart? She was trying to like pop off or something. And normally I don't respond to stupid comments anyway. But that day I was like, you know what? What did she respond to? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know what's going on. I don't know you personally. I just asked a question. You didn't have to be so mean. I'm like, but you had no problem jumping in my comment section talking trash. Okay. But anyway, so we're changing the girl's name back to Allison. So Becky, a.k.a. Allison, you tried it. That's the issue. She wants to sit there and do all that crying, and now she wants to be a victim. I don't have it. Like, one thing I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to write a book called A Court with No Hoops, because that's pretty much the experience of every suburban neighborhood where there's like a majority white population with a few black people sprinkled in. If you've ever lived in one of those neighborhoods where there was a basketball court, a lot of times you notice that the basketball hoop is no longer there, just the court. And that's because pretty much a lot of times in these neighborhoods, when they start seeing too many black kids having fun on the basketball court, doing what teenagers do, all of a sudden it's problematic. People don't feel safe, and they take the hoop down because they don't want people to go to that hoop. And literally, I see that same symbolism with how she was acting with that grill. Like, back when I lived in Washington State, I lived in this town called Spanaway, Washington. The neighborhood I lived in at the time was called Olympic View. And there was another neighborhood down the street called Clarewood. There was a neighborhood called Hidden Village, a neighborhood called Deer Creek, a neighborhood called Crescent Pond, a neighborhood called Taylor Point. All of those neighborhoods, they all got their basketball hoops taken down. The only neighborhood that had a hoop was my neighborhood. And so all of the black kids who were in the area used to go to this area and play on the basketball hoop. And what do you think happened to my neighborhood's basketball hoop? They took it down. Why? Too many black kids having fun. Too much loud music, a few too many cars with the little subwoofers and the bass playing, too many people having too much fun. And so they got rid of that. And so that's pretty much the issue that I have with Allison in this. People are so triggered and bothered by the fact that black people just like to enjoy themselves and exist that it bothers them. It's the same thing you can say about what happened with that Starbucks clip. It's the same thing you can say about what happened with the girl at Yale, where the student pretty much called the police on her because she fell asleep in the lobby while she was studying, and the girl didn't believe that she belonged in the lobby, or didn't, they needed to verify that she was a real student. Like, black people are tired of having to answer to everybody for our existence. That's not how the world works. And then on top of that, we shouldn't have to sit here and roll out the red carpet to keep you comfortable. Same thing with the black people in the Airbnb, and the people were saying, oh, well, maybe if they would have waved a little bit, the neighbors wouldn't have been as nervous. I shouldn't have to explain my existence because you're uncomfortable. That's not my problem. You need to work on yourself. You know what I mean? And I think what pisses me off about somebody like Allison is toxic, because Allison, in this day and age where the climate of this country is crazy and black people get shot and killed for literally everything, who knows what could have happened had the police officers that showed up not been as mild-mannered. Had there been some other kind of police officers that would have been trigger-happy, who would have feared for their lives because, oh my God, there's a black man with a spatula and a hot grill. I don't know, maybe, he might have grabbed the charcoal with his bare hand and threw it at me, and it would have landed in my neck and burned a hole through my neck. And then I would have looked like the people that smoke cigarettes with the hole in their neck talking about don't do tobacco. I feared for my life. You never know what can happen. People like Amy, well, Amy, sorry, Amy's the damn girl from the food bank, but she could be in this conversation too. People like Allison, aka Becky, they are the same kind of people that create environments for things like an Emmett Till to happen. You know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. And then when you find out years later that the woman was like, oh, it didn't even really happen that way, and she's living her best life, sleeping good at night, and Emmett Till, if we go back to Emmett Till, you know, he got dragged out of his house. They castrated him. He got beaten in the head with something crazy. His eyeball was halfway popped out. Like, they literally just totally mutilated that boy. All over white tears. You know, I wish black people had the same amount of power that white tears have in this country. We would be all right. Anyway, hot mess. So, Allison, mind your business. Mind your business next time. And nobody feels sorry for you crying. Because you... can we play the clip of her crying one more time? Let's go back. Look at that. Look at it. Even the cop is looking at her. She can't get her words out. Just putting on a whole act. I'm telling you, she was trying to win a Tony Award and an Oscar in the same day. No, you are not in danger. What are you crying for? Give me the strength. My goodness. Anyway, I'm going to bed. Sorry for this video coming out a little late. I know I told you guys it was coming out tonight, and by the time you watch it, it's going to be like 1 in the morning. My bad. But anyway, also be sure to check out my podcast. If you'd like to check that out, Comedically Hard-Headed, available on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. I'm working on Google Play and Stitcher. Some of you guys were saying you'd like to watch it on that instead, or listen to it to that instead. So, okay. Anyway, I'm out. Subscribe.